Hello，大家好，我是自由天翔 Liberty。战术策略类游戏 No Plan B 将于北京时间4月4日凌晨1点正式发售。在 No Plan B 中，你只有一次机会，一旦你计划好后，就不可以再更改，所以这将会最大程度地考验你的战术规划。而今天，我也很荣幸的有机会可以和 No Plan B 的开发者、法国独立游戏制作人 GFX47 进行一次深入的交流，了解更多关于 No Plan B 的细节、开发者的过往经历。以及开发者最真实的想法，并了解一些和独立游戏开发相关的内容。由于时间问题，在本视频中，我将选取采访中的部分最为核心的内容展示。We just begin with introduce, okay?
Okay.
So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a French game developer. I've been in this industry for quite some time now. It must be more than 12 years. So I started at Ubisoft in France, in Montreuil, and I worked on some rather small games for Ubisoft. One that was Might and Magic: Hero of Kingdoms. It was a web-based game based on the Might and Magic series, and a few other projects that unfortunately were not released. They were either cancelled or delayed for the eternity.
Yes, that's a pity.
So after that, I worked at Amplitude Studio, which is a smaller studio in Paris, and I was the lead programmer on Dungeon of the Endless. It was a roguelike, web-based strategy game. It was super interesting, the best project I've worked on. We were a rather small team, four people at first. Then some people helped us to release the game and increase the development speed, but most of the time we were only 4 people. So it was really intense, and we were iterating very fast, and it was, a super interesting project. Yeah, I was working on a very special project, a programming game with robots, and it was maybe 3 years. I was working at home on this project, and I put it on each IO, and I made a few events with it, and I saw that people really were interested in the concept, so I decided maybe it's the time to quit my job and try to make my own game from start to finish. And so I quit Amplitude Studio and started working on this game full time.
Yes.
And a few years later, 3 years later, I think, I released it on Steam. So it was called Gladiabots. I think you know the game.
Yes.
And it was quite successful for a solo developer. So it allowed me to give me enough money to start a new project, which is No Plan B. So that's me.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there are some questions for No Plan B, the game. The first is, what do you think the biggest difference between No Plan B and other strategy tactical games is?
Well, I think the biggest difference is the fact that you play the game in 2 very distinct phases, the planning phase and the execution phase, which is very similar to Gladiabots, actually, my first game. And that's something I didn't really see in other games, maybe because it's a very bad idea and no one wants to do it that way. But anyway, it's a way to do it that I like. So you spend most of your time in the planning phase, and maybe because it's a bad idea once again, but anyway, and then you watch your team execute the plan. And I wanted to make this phase a bit sexier than the planning phase, so that's why I had all the cinematic tools to make it good looking and.
So in my opinion, that you said it's a bad idea, but I think I should say it's more like reality. You know that some special tasks make their plans and execute them, but they only have one chance in real life, right?
Yeah, right.
So you
No plan B.
yes, so you must focus on this task and seriously work at it. And
Yeah.
that's what No Plan B bring to us. So we should
Exactly.
plan carefully, and before we execute it, we need to check and check and check again.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to say with the game. So it's cool that you understand it that way.
And the next question is, the game dynamic synchronization timeline system is the biggest unique feature of this game, and also you show that on the game's trailer and your comment gameplay trailer, right?
Yeah.
So
And
how do you come up with this design?
well, I had several references for that. The most obvious one is Frozen Synapse, which is another tactical game, which uses not really the same system, but a way to plan your moves in time and make some pauses and have a rather precise way to plan your moves, but they are limited to a very short time. It's a kind of turn-based game, so you plan like 5 seconds, you execute it, and then you plan the next 5 seconds, etc., etc. And the other reference was obviously Door Kickers, which is my favorite game ever. And there's one thing that always frustrated me in Door Kickers is the fact that you cannot really synchronize your moves, because you can plan the trajectory of your characters, but you don't know when the first one will enter the room and the second one will throw the grenade, for instance. So you have pause to synchronize it, but you have to do it manually, and it was not a solution that I was enjoying using. So I really wanted to have a proper way to synchronize your moves and be able to really make a single plan for a whole mission. So that's basically where the idea of No Plan B came from.
Oh,
It's my frustration of not being able to do real proper single plans.
I think that's really good, and it makes No Plan B different from Door Kickers. That's what you did perfect, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm showing it in the trailer, because all the players that see the game tell me, oh, it's just a bad Door Kickers. And I say, no, it's not exactly like Door Kickers. It plays a bit differently. Door Kickers is more about the execution phase in a way, but still pausable, which is an awesome feature, because that's one of the strengths of the game for me.
Yes.
And but No Plan B is really about the planning phase.
Okay, so let's go to the next. Personally, I started playing No Plan B from the earliest beta 1.0 version. You know that I made some maps and play the game, and leave those comments on Steam, you know. And I can see that up to the latest version of No Plan B, the game has changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
And especially the weapon locker system. Weapons are now gained by playing the campaign rather than purchased with points, or somebody calls that money. That was earned by completing the skirmish and challenge. So what are the considerations behind this change? Why we gained weapons by completing the campaign instead of the skirmish and the challenge with the point to buy it?
Yeah, so as you said, I had a lot of iterations. There was a lot of changes on this subject. So at first, there was no lock system at all, so you could play with every weapon, everything in the game. But then a long-term goal for the players to play the game.
Oh.
They didn't have any objective really on the long run. So that's why I introduced the locking system on the weapons. But the next problem was that once they had enough money, players would rush for their favorite configuration, like their favorite weapon and their preferred skills, stuff like that. Had credit rewards, because you could easily get a lot of credits. So that's why I removed the credit system and then used the campaign mission to have specific equipment unlocks. So this mission would unlock this weapon or this grenade, etc. but it was a bit too frustrating, too limiting to the players. So I changed it once again to unlock a specific category, like assault rifle, and not specifically this assault rifle. So the player would have a choice between 3 options when they finish the mission. I'm pretty satisfied with the current version. I'm still open to changes. It really depends on what the players feel.
So let's go to the next questions. And many players said the current difficulty of the game is too high, and many test players have mentioned whether you have considered adding reward like equipment or skill points of completing other modes missions such as skirmish. Do you have any plans for this?
Not really right now, but once again, it will depend on the feedback of the players. I wanted to focus on the campaign mode because that's where the real game design is for me.
Yeah.
Because the other missions are kind of training missions. The way I see the game is the campaign mode is used to improve your squad and your equipment. And the other modes are there to compete on the leaderboards with other teams, and also to have a more free way to play the game, to enjoy the game. Like you don't have the constraints of the campaign, you don't have the permadeath, you don't have the persistent injuries, stuff like that. So you are more free to try something else, a new configuration of your team, or maybe use your sniper or not, and stuff like that. So, but I wanted to focus the experience on the campaign really.
And about the No Plan B's modes, due to some limits in China, mode.io is not easy to access here. So some mode creators asked me if you know some others that they want to know that would you like to set a community on a website that Chinese player can easily access in, such as what is that? Nexus modes. Yeah, you know that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I didn't know actually that mod.io was difficult to access from China.
Yeah.
I will check with the guys at mod.io if they can improve that. Yeah. As I said, I discovered it when I saw your question. I will investigate definitely, because that's something very important in the game, the mods. And and why didn't I use the workshop, Steam Workshop? It's because at first I had plans to maybe have a version for consoles, but I'm not sure anymore, because it's a lot of work and a lot of money to invest in porting the game. The controls are not really good for a controller really, or for the touch, for the Switch for instance. So I'm not sure anymore I will go on consoles, but that's what motivated me to go for another solution, that the Steam Workshop, because Steam Workshop only works on Steam.
Okay, so the last question about the game No Plan B. No Plan B full version is about to be officially released. Are there any follow-up updates or roadmaps that you can share to us? And someone asked if there will be any discounts when the game is officially released.
Yeah, so there will be a discount for the release, which should be 10%, and it will last for 1 week. Roadmap, I don't have any concrete roadmap. Like I said, I would like to improve some parts of the game, like the customization, the character customization. But really, my plan is to wait for let the release pass, see if the game sold enough or not.
Yes.
Basically deciding if I continue or not to make games on my own, and if it works, if it's sells enough, I will wait. I will see what the feedback is. I don't know. Maybe players want more more content in terms of missions or customization or stuff like that. And I really want to decide with all this feedback in mind. Yeah, no concrete roadmap, but it will depend on the feedback, basically.
And there are some questions about the developers issue GFX, and they want to ask you something about your person, the personal questions.
Okay.
So the first one is from the information you displayed on Facebook that you was working in Ubisoft Entertainment in the past. That what you said before in introduction. And you said, I want to ask you, what do you think the difference between working at a AAA games developing company and the developing individual games on your own? And you said when you're working in Ubisoft, you're working on some project with your team, and that project has been cancelled by the company. I think that's what a AAA game company will do. I think it don't make profit, right? I think.
Yeah, they are focused on profit, and it's completely understandable. When they invest so much money in projects, they want to get returns. That's okay. And it's just another way to work on a game. AAA is cool. A big company is cool because you have a lot of money, so you can have a bigger team. You can have specialists in different areas like AI or level design that can help you. So it's nice. I have learned a lot working at Ubisoft. It was not all big AAA. I didn't work on any big AAA game. I really didn't want to do it actually, because I was in contact with people working on AAA games, and they didn't really seem very happy of their job, because the final project is awesome, but each individual person will work on a very small part of the game, so you don't really see yourself in the final game. That's why I moved to a smaller studio and then to a solo dev, because what I like about making games is seeing my vision inside the game, you know, and communicate something to the players. So that's the main thing that pushed me to go solo.
Okay, so the next is at present the translation work of No Plan B is not 100% complete, and you know I also take a part of this translation work.
Yeah. And thank you very much for that.
It's okay. But I can see from the translated part that has been complete is seriously good. Not only for me and other players. And from the content on Discord and Steam, you're also actively responding the community feedback during the development process. So what do you think the community brings some support or help to you during the developing?
Well, the community is, for me, is super important. It's like I'm not a solo dev. We are two devs, me and the community, you know, and that's why I'm using the early access system of Steam, not only to get money while I'm developing the game. It's important, but it's not the main focus on the early access for me. The early access is really useful to get feedback. I'm always asking for feedback. You can see on the Discord, I'm trying to polls to know what you players like or dislike about the next the previous changes. What do you anticipate on the next step of the roadmap, stuff like that. So it's really important. The translation is I didn't expect to have so many languages on release, honestly, and the support has been amazing. And you have seen on the Discord in the previous days, you guys have helped me to find some critical mistakes in the localization in the Chinese version.
That's really serious, so we have to say that.
It was really a serious issue. And I would have never been able to see it without you. So it's an amazing support, and some help that I would not be able to get from professionals, you know.
Yes.
And that's why when I see people coming to the Discord and say, "Oh, we are a translation studio service thing, and we want to translate your game," I always try to tell them maybe it's better to have players translate the game, because they know what the game is about, they know what the context is. But translation just a small part of the whole support I get from the community. I also have a lot of players making videos about the game.
Yes.
You know, the cinematic replays.
Yeah, I know the player from Japan. I know him.
Yeah, he's doing. Right now he has health issues, unfortunately, but in the past he was doing one video every day with the challenge missions, and he had so much content. I don't know, I didn't count, but probably close to 100 videos about the game. And yeah, and other people also from. They are not on the Discord, but they love tactical games like Control Pair Gaming, which is a YouTuber, and he is really the one that made the game what it is right now, because without his videos, I wouldn't have so many players on the early access.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go to the next questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so No Plan B is a strategy tactical games, as what we talked before, and which shows that you are also interested in this type of games, right?
Yeah, I only make games that I would like to play.
Yes, yes, that sounds like what the developer did himself. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you are asked to say another tactical game that you have played, which one do you think is your favorite and why?
Well, the obvious answer is Door Kickers. From the first one, actually the funny story is I was not yet in the gaming industry, I think, at this time, but I always wanted to make games. So from very soon, like from must be like 20 years, I don't know, I always had some project on the side, you know, small game project. The first one I think was Shoot 'em Up. I learned programming through this, and then I wanted to make a game that you could play on the web browser, and it was a tactical game, which is the idea was pretty close to Door Kickers, but it was in a turn-based fashion. And the day Door Kicker released, I just dropped the project, you know. I just thought the thing I wanted to make, and I told myself, okay, there's no need to continue doing your shitty project. You just play this game, you will have what you want. But it's good because I switched to another project, and then another, and then it was Gladiabots. But I always wanted to go back to this initial project, you know. And that's why No Plan B was a good opportunity, because I had found the thing that was missing in Door Kickers, for me actually, which is the synchronization part. And so it was the best excuse for me to go back to the prototype and try to make something out of it. So yeah, Door Kickers is definitely my favorite tactical game.
So besides tactical games, what other types of games do you like, and do you have any plan to develop a game of that type?
Yeah, I love a lot of different games. I would say two other games, which is my top three games must be Door Kickers,
Yes.
the Metal Gear series.
Yeah, Metal Gear.
I'm a big fan of the Metal Gears. Yeah. And RTS, real-time strategy games.
I know
really
something like
too.
Age of Empire or Command and Conquer, right?
Yeah, I'm more a StarCraft player.
Oh.
More like StarCraft, or also another one with zombies. Which is the name? There are billions. I think the game is.
Yeah, that was
Really?
one of the most popular games at that time, I know.
Yeah. StarCraft 2 for me.
Yeah.
Before it was free to play.
Yeah.
is the closest thing I've seen to the perfect game. For me, it has everything. Technically, it's a masterpiece. Visually, gameplay-wise, I don't know. It's just the closest thing I know about a perfect game.
Okay, so the last, is there any questions you want to ask players or ask me, or anything you want to share or tell to us?
Well, the thing I usually ask to players is how they discovered my games. In which way? Was it something I told myself? Was it something that a friend of theirs talks about the game? Or so yeah, most of the time you can see on Discord, every time someone new comes, I want to know how they discovered the game,
Yes.
where they are coming from, what type of games they are playing, stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah, basically that's what I would ask.
那么这就是本次采访最为核心的内容了。喜欢的话，不要忘了留下一个免费的点赞或收藏。如果你想了解完整的采访对话的话，欢迎移步至完整视频深入了解。游戏将于北京时间4月4日凌晨1点于 Steam 平台发售，届时将会有9折的折扣优惠。此外，关注我和开发者 GFX47，并点赞、转发和评论该视频。我将于北京时间4月6日18点随机抽取2名用户赠送 No Plan B 的标准版激活码1份。期待你们一起加入 No Plan B， 展示你完美无瑕的战术。